The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today's April 18th, 2019, episode 135. This week, Smart Monkeys and Pig Brain Resurrection. My name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you other news with Canary Cry views.
That's right. So much news this week, Gonz.
So much, but we have to start.
But of course, we cannot get to that until we hear from our good friend Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
TechnologyReview.com. A robot has figured out how to use tools. In a startling demonstration, the machine drew on experimentation, data, and observation of humans to learn how simple implements could help it achieve tasks. Learning to use tools played a crucial role in the evolution of human intelligence, says MIT. It may yet prove vital to the emergence of smarter, more capable robots, too. New research shows that robots can figure out at least the rudiments of tool use through a combination of experimenting and observing people. Chelsea Finn, a researcher at Google Brain, and Sergey Levine, an assistant professor at UC Berkeley, developed the robotic system together with several of Levine's students at MIT, I believe. Yep. Nope. UC Berkeley. Sorry. The setup consists of an off-the-shelf robot arm, the kind that my Kickstarter will be trying to fund, that can be controlled by a person or a computer. It also includes a camera that sees the environment within the reach of the arm, and most important, a computer running a very large neural network that lets the robot learn.
Oh, it's connected to the giant hive mind brain.
It must learn. The robot worked out how to make use of simple implements, including a dustpan and broom and a duster. Well, at least it's starting with some pretty useful tools. That's exactly what a robot should be learning how to use. To move other objects around. The work hints at how robots might someday learn to perform sophisticated manipulations and solve abstract problems for themselves. Quote, "It's exciting because it means the robot can figure out what to do with a tool in situations it hasn't seen before," Finn says. "We really want to study that sort of generality rather than a robot learning to use one tool." And the article goes on, but basically, Gonz, what's going on here is they're teaching robots how to learn how to use tools, and this is the beginning of the end. I know I've said it before, but when the robots can just find something in the world and figure out how to use it, that's when Skynet takes over.
Yeah.
First, now it's a dustpan, then a broom, then a duster, then what? A Swiffer wet jet, then what? A vacuum, then what? An AK-47? What's going to happen? We can't teach these robots to just learn for themselves. Come on. We got to teach these robots how to pick up a Bible. That's what I say.
Good call. So here's an update. Engadget.com. Sony's robot-themed art installation somehow felt like a cat cafe, and I'm convinced that, Basil, you want to be there.
I know you were very excited to share this story with me.
Yeah, well, it says here, with legitimate economic uncertainties for some of us paired with predictions of a dystopian end of days at their hands, tech, like robots, AI, and automation, have earned a bad rap. Sony has taken a soft-touch approach when it comes to robotics, perhaps best illustrated by its iconic electric pet Aibo. And one of the things they're doing at the tech show, Sony's been attending this, or along with the tech show, is Sony attended the Milan Design Week for the past few years. And this time its lofty concepts touch on artificial intelligence, robotic empathy, and how we're all going to feel about it. It's just telling us how we're going to feel about it. I wouldn't say, this is the author saying, I wouldn't say I walked away with any answers. However, there was a couple different displays here. One of them was called Autonomous, which was a cage thing that was supposed to represent the independence and free will of robots. And then there's this thing called the Quartz, which was probably the most fascinating. Sony filled the floor with white spheres of different sizes, with about half of them wobbling around a group of enraptured attendees. According to Sony, each sphere had its own set of behaviors and personality, which was reflected in how these giant spheres behaved, or spheros, it says here, behaved around each other and the human interlopers that entered their midst. Above overhead depth sensors and cameras were picking up info on where the author here sat or stood. And then the larger size balls, unfortunately, the most independent, they neither approached me when I was seated, nor did they react to my prods. The smaller
so it's
ones,
basically a big room with a bunch of little autonomous balls rolling around.
Yeah, and they kind of...
Yeah, it sounds kind of nice. See, I like my robots when they're just big,
They're
fluffy
friendly.
balls, just being friendly, not learning to use tools.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Flippy. If you're listening, I love you, buddy.
This is going to be the right hand.
Stay in your lane, Flippy.
This is going to be the right hand to the left hand. You're going to have these like cute little balls, coming up to you, being playful with you, while the robot arm robs you. Takes your wallet out of your bag. Yeah,
that's right. It's the diversion. And interesting, you mentioned there. This wasn't one of our stories we had on the list, but I wanted to mention there is an organization devoted to fighting for the rights of robots.
Yeah,
it's called the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Robots, the ASPCR. I want to join this organization so badly.
All right, there you go. Your pitch to the group there to be a rep.
I wonder if I start crafting my messages now on CCNT, I can use it as an example of why I should be let in.
Yeah, we are entering the technocracy. Might as well be at the helm of one of the
I gotta
movements.
be in there, man. I can't. That's the thing. The whole goal of this show should be for us to get into the mainframe, get into the society of robot rulers, so we can A, avoid getting killed, and B, we can try to take it down from the inside.
Or it just seems like a perfect way to be targeted.
Yeah. Well. All right.
Yeah, let me just read this part because it says, then it hit me. This felt like the conceptual esoteric tech equivalent of a cat cafe. And so that's why I wanted to, bring it up to you. The cat
cafe is, unfortunately not a point of reference I think a ton of our listeners have, except for this show. But they're mostly in like Japan and I think like Austin, Texas or Seattle.
Right.
Weird places.
Yep.
Okay, but Gons, another exciting thing. We've got a lot of robot updates, and there's been some people saying they're tired of robot stuff. So the rest of the show is not robot stuff. But here you go. You Can't Take My Door, a country song created by a neural network that studied a catalog of country hits. Spin it up, Gons.
All right. Country feel.
Her daddy was strong and the stars of heaven, and the road was a gambler for a great big bet. He was money, the devil, the crazy strings, and the shot of her lady. And she said, no, you can't take my door. I don't want to love you anymore. Won't let my heart be my face. Barbed whiskey good and a whiskey straight. No, you can't take my door.
You can't take that door. No,
Can't take my door. The robot country ballad. So you like country, Guns?
Nah, I'm not a huge fan.
Not a country boy?
Not really. But
Yeah.
I like blues better than country. I'm a blues guy.
Okay.
But there's a little crossover there sometimes.
I thought you more of a dubstep connoisseur.
I like different kinds of music, but yeah, I was a big blues guy.
So as usual, this AI generated, this neural network generated song of which we like to. I know I hesitate to use the word. Some very talented musicians put it to music, but there's some funny lines in there. Of course, won't let my heart
be my face.
Be my face. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff, AI.
There's a lot of interesting stuff. So there you go. Okay, time to get into the serious stuff, Gons. Yeah, take it away.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
Uh-oh.
Oh, all right. This is, you probably heard about it, making the rounds. Tel Aviv University scientists print first 3D heart using patient's own cell. For the first time ever, Israeli scientists have created a vascularized human heart that fully matches the properties of a human patient. This is a major breakthrough and great news for world medicine. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the Star Trek type of deal, right? Or any kind of thing that we've been dreaming of.
Elysium.
Yeah.
Yeah, no longer do you need a donor. They just can take a cell from your heart, print out a new one, stick it in there. Bada boom, bada bing.
Yep, live forever.
Wow. We're in the future. I don't know I don't know what else there is to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. So are you ready to become cyborg? I guess sort of.
We're there.
Yeah.
We're there. Yeah.
'Cause I'm DNA.
Oi. Vox.com. We love Vox. Signed.
Don't say that. Somebody's going to clip that.
Yeah. Sarcasm. Okay. Scientists added human brain genes to monkeys. Yes, it's as scary as it sounds. Yeah. Okay. So
you know what? Maybe we have more in common with Vox than we think.
Yeah, maybe. When it comes to this stuff, we're just both going, man, come on. Scientists in China have created a new kind of monkey. It's got a human brain gene, and that just might make its intelligence a little bit more like ours.
Oh, no.
That, in turn, makes its fate and its very existence very ethically fraught. In a study published last month in Beijing's National Science Review journal, researchers took human copies of the MCPH1 gene, which is believed to play an important role in our brain development, and introduced it into monkey embryos by means of a virus that carried the gene.
Yeah, this is where the movie where the monkeys get the virus gene and then they
Planet of
become
the Apes?
super. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a documentary now. Of the 11 transgenic macaque monkeys they generated, 6 died. The 5 survivors went through a series of tests, including MRI brain scans and memory tests. It turned out they didn't have bigger brains than a control group of macaques, but they did perform better on short-term memory tasks. Their brains also developed over a longer period of time, which is typical of human brains. And although the sample size was very small, the scientists excitedly described the study as, quote, the first attempt to experimentally interrogate the genetic basis of human brain origin using a transgenic monkey model, end quote. In other words, part of the point of the study was to help tackle a question about evolution. How did we humans develop our unique brand of intelligence, which has allowed us to innovate in ways other primates can't? The Chinese researchers suspect the MCPH1 gene is part of the answer, but they're not stopping there. One of them, Bing Su, a geneticist at the Kunming Institute of Zoology, told MIT Technology Review that he's already testing other genes involved in brain evolution. One that he has his eye on is sRGA-P2C, a DNA variant that arose about 2 million years ago, just when Australopithecus was seeding the African savanna to early humans. That gene has been dubbed the humanity switch and the missing genetic link for its likely role in the emergence of human intelligence. Su says he's been adding it to monkeys, but that it's too soon to say what the results are.
Wow, this is like straight up. Well, of course, this is happening in China.
Yep, China.
I suppose that doesn't come as a surprise.
No.
They've recently really loosened up their laws with all this kind of stuff. I mean, this is chimera at its ultimate sort of stage. As far as what we've seen so far, this is the pinnacle of chimeric activity, I think.
Yeah. It's at
least
crazy.
it's been released to the public.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of people make that point, and it's a valid point that this is what's public now. What's going on that we don't know about? Sue has had his eye on another human gene, the FOXP2, which is believed to have graced us with our language abilities. Talk about Tower of Babel and that kind of stuff. Pondering the possibility of adding that gene to monkeys, Sue told Nature in 2016, quote, "I don't think that monkeys will all of a sudden start speaking, but will have some behavioral change." He would not be breaking any laws. In the U.S., scientists have created animal-human hybrids in an attempt to grow human organs for medical transplants, for example, by injecting human cells into a pig embryo and a sheep embryo, but such studies are not eligible for public funding. And then Sue's prediction that his tinkering would cause behavioral changes raises a slippery slope concern. If we deem it acceptable to make an animal slightly more human-like, we may end up normalizing that process and find ourselves generating animals that resemble humans to ever greater degree.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the ultimate chimeric sort of creation that we've seen. And of course, it's all done in the name of, studying evolutionary processes or whatever. But,
or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, 5 of the monkeys died. That's very sad.
It is.
Whether their brains just grow too big, they're too smart for their own good, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be keeping an eye on this this human brains and monkeys thing, because that's making me a little squirrely.
Just based on, a lot of this is based on evolution, and we talked about evolution or mentioned it a few times. I just wanted to throw this in there because it was interesting. A quick fun fact, and this is thanks to Truth Stream Media. Julian Huxley wrote that as a boy, Charles Darwin once beat a puppy, quote, for enjoying the sense of power he got out of it, and Darwin also admits to inventing stories in order to attract attention. That's admitted stuff by Charles Darwin. You may or may not have known, but that's your man that came up with evolution. It's proven now, boy. Basil. He was right,
boy.
right? Proof.
Those poor finches.
I know, it's so sad.
Yep.
Evolution.
Okay. Well gone. Speaking of the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system. Beast system.
It's just so we all say
Triple threat.
Yep. Triple threat.
So, Gons, I was actually woken up by a notification on my phone this morning.
Uh-oh, you were woke by it.
I was awoken by a notification from nationalgeographic.com.
Oh, boy.
And imagine my surprise when the notification said, "Pig brains partially revived hours after death, what it means for people."
No.
Yeah. And of course,
Nice.
It was on a show day. So that was very nice of them to just pop
Thanks,
that
guys.
right in there. Gave me an early wake. It was nice.
Appreciate it.
Now, this story was floating around Facebook. I saw people sharing it here, but I figured we need to alert the masses here. Scientists have restored cellular function in 32 pig brains that had been dead for hours, opening up a new avenue in treating brain disease and shaking our definition of brain death to its core. Announced on Wednesday in the journal Nature, researchers at the Yale University School of Medicine devised a system roughly analogous to a dialysis machine called BrainX that restores circulation and oxygen flow to a dead brain. The researchers did not kill any animals for the purposes of the experiment. Woo! They acquired pig heads from a food processing plant near New Haven, Connecticut, after the pigs had already been killed for their meat. And technically, the pig brains remained dead by design. The treated brains did not show any signs of the organized electrical neural activity required for awareness or consciousness. So you can see right here, right off the bat on the second paragraph here, they're trying to be like, don't worry, the pigs didn't feel anything. We didn't bring these brains alive and conscious. So it's technically not animal abuse.
Yeah.
Quote, clinically defined, this is not a living brain, end quote, says study co-author Nanad Sistan, a neuroscientist at the Yale University School of Medicine. The new system instead kept the brains in far better shape than brains left to decompose on their own, restoring functions such as the ability to take in glucose and oxygen for up to 6 hours at a time. Researchers say that the technique could give a major boost to studies of human health by providing a rich test bed for studying brain disorders and diseases. Quote, "We're really excited about this as a platform that could help us better understand how to treat people who have had heart attacks and have lost normal blood flow to the brain." End quote, adds Cara Ramos, director of the Neuroethics program at the U.S. National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. "It really enhances our ability to study cells as they exist in connection with each other in that three-dimensional, large, complicated way. Even so, the finding opens up considerable ethical questions, a conversation that the researchers themselves welcome." Well, that's nice. Here we are. Quote, "This is an extraordinary and very promising breakthrough for neuroscience. It immediately offers a much better model for studying the human brain, which is extraordinarily important, given the vast amount of humans suffering from diseases of the mind and brain," says Nita Farahani, a bioethicist at Duke University School of Law, who wrote a commentary about the study for Nature. Quote, "It also changes a lot of the fundamental assumptions that we had in neuroscience, like that once there is a, what did I say?
You said changes. Not a big deal. Baby.
Oh, it also challenges a lot of fundamental assumptions that we had in neuroscience, like that one, this person is hard to read for some reason, like that once there is a loss of oxygen to the brain, it's an irreversible march towards organismal death," she says. That turns out not to be true. And because that's not true, there's some pretty profound ethical and legal issues that are raised as a result.
That's so true right there, because if the brain, if it just loses oxygen, it's considered that we're moving towards what she describes here as organismal death.
Yeah, there's a couple different things here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, this next couple paragraphs, I'm going to go into it, and then we'll get into it. "Death is final, but the number of truly irreversible medical outcomes has shrunk over time. For millennia, people were considered dead when they stopped breathing and their hearts ceased to beat. But then modern science intervened. Modern medicine intervened. The invention of mechanical ventilators allowed failing bodies to be kept alive for longer, and decades of improvements to heart surgery and transplants mean that even a stopped heart might not necessarily be the end." You could just 3D print a new one.
Yeah.
But the brain remains a finicky patient. Mammal brains, such as ours, are high-performance machines. They demand a constant stream of oxygen-rich blood to work to their fullest. If blood flow is cut off, we lose consciousness after just a few seconds. Within 5 minutes, the brain's stores of vital molecules, such as glucose and ATP, the body's universal currency for chemical energy, run out. The brain then enters a death spiral that, up to now, scientists considered irreversible. Nerve cells' delicate chemistries get thrown out of whack. A buildup of carbon dioxide makes the brain blood more acidic, and leaks of a powerful neurotransmitter called glutamate quickly becomes toxic. Soon, enzymes that break down nerve tissue come online, and the brain's smaller structures and blood vessels rupture and break. The more researchers understood this process, the more they incorporated it into the definition of death itself. In 1968, a committee of doctors assembled by Harvard University put forth a landmark definition of irreversible coma, what we now call brain death. A total lack of responsiveness, the inability to breathe on one's own, a total lack of reflexes, and no sign of large-scale electrical activity in the brain. Now, the American Academy of Neurology maintains a checklist that clinicians use to judge brain death in patients. But there have been hints of greater brain resilience. Some parts of brain cells, such as the mitochondria that process chemical energy, still work up to 10 hours after death. In cats and macaques, researchers have successfully made brains recover after a full hour cut off. There's the macaque brains again.
Yeah.
Researchers have successfully... Yeah, and cats. Oh, yikes.
They're just making a comeback in this episode.
I know. Full circle. Researchers have successfully made brains recover after a full hour cut off from blood by carefully restoring circulation. And in humans, some medical case studies point to a brain that can bounce back In 2007, researchers reported that a woman suffering from acute hypothermia with a body temperature less than 65 degrees Fahrenheit made a neurological recovery.
A full neurological recovery.
Yes. Now, this is a very long article, so we can't finish it here. But this is a first step towards bringing long dead brains, pig brains, which are similar to human brains in a lot of ways, bringing them back to life.
Yeah.
Now, they claim it's not restoring consciousness.
Right.
And that's the kind of workaround here.
Right. It seems like this is a major step towards the people that have invested in the cryogenic or volunteering themselves to cryogenically freeze their brain and body or whatever. Yeah. This is probably a big breakthrough in that regard, at least a public breakthrough.
This is fully brain in a jar material here.
Yeah.
If you can keep a brain alive, or even bring it back from the dead, again, going back to the movie that I referenced earlier that I cannot remember. Elysium.
Elysium. Is that a movie? I thought it was a show.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a movie.
No, it's Elysium's a movie, and it's a big sort of healthcare propaganda thing.
Is it the Tom Cruise thing?
I believe it was Matt Damon. If I
Damon
remember
and Tom
correctly.
Cruise are all clones.
Yeah, who cares? So there you go. I mean, we're there, and this has huge implications for transhumanism, for extending human life beyond what some might consider reasonable, or even more than that, bringing people back to life.
I mean, there's not much more to add to what this is. I mean, it's just another major step.
A lot of these stories really speak for themselves here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of the called it, going on, but not enough to really, be pumped about it. I think it's one of those
very interesting.
Oh, they're really doing it. Yay.
Yeah, and what's interesting is for them to even take the next step. I mean, they're claiming this is great because now we can sort of research brains, alive brains as far as organismically alive brains.
Right. And this must inform, again, because they were talking about it, how to prevent, like when somebody dies, maybe there are, and this gets into ethical problems as well, not
bring
hashed
people
out.
back from comas or whatever.
When the process begins, if they know that they have a checklist of things that they can stop or prevent or reverse or whatever. I mean, this whole thing, we're gonna Days of Noah, man. We're gonna be living for like 300 years.
I know. It's nice that they know that this is and that they're welcoming these sort of ethical arguments to this. Because I mean, even with these pigs, imagine if maybe they aren't getting the same signals that they would on a regular alive pig.
Yeah, it's almost
like consciousness is not understood very well.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't understand consciousness at all.
Yeah.
And so they are claiming they don't believe that these pig brains are conscious, which would just be the most horrifying thing in the world.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it brings up all the stuff that we've covered, movies like Transcendence, where, they basically upload the brain mapping into a computer, and that's, is
now
it him?
with the 3D
is it Will
printing,
Castro or not,
Right. Well, now with the 3D printing, maybe if you can just print somebody's brain back out. If
or
they
just
die,
print the whole person back out.
Well, there you go. Again, Elysium. Well, all right. Well, there you go, everybody. Hey, make sure to check out the extended reports. We do a whole nother episode every single week over on the Patreon page. You can go sign up. Lots of cool stuff there. But one of the coolest is you get bonus episodes, the Canary Cry News Talk Extended Report. Ooh. That's right. We got a lot of fun stuff over in the extended report. Zuck might be getting voted out of Facebook again. We've got Neuro Nanorobotics. We've got we're going to be talking about hidden messages. Oh yeah, the Facebook's hidden messages, talking about Masons and Big Brother watching you on their new Oculus devices, and we'll get into some other stuff there too. So you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT. Our show is fully listener supported. We do not sell ads. We do not sell your attention for our own personal gain, unfortunately. But if you like the show and you want to keep it going, head over to patreon.com/CCNT. And if you got friends who are not listening to CCNT right now, you need to grab them by the head and shake it.
Let's
want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages.
Hey, stop that!
You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy.
Leave the bird alone!
Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
And remember, you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com, and we've got an aggregated list of all these news stories and more from this week. There are a lot of good ones. I suggest everybody go check it out at canarycrynewstalk.com. And make sure to tune in next time. But until you do, think outside the cage.